Good morning. Yeah, that's me. Well, it's almost lunchtime. I've ordered my breakfast from Costa, so I'm waiting for it. It'll show up soon, probably in the next 20 minutes. So it's the day after Valentine's Day. I have a rather sore back. Suppose I'm not the only one. Oh, flipping it. Ghosts. Yeah, ghosts. They follow me wherever I go. Yeah. Sleeping with ghosts. Strange thing to talk about, isn't it? Anyways. Whatever. So what do I want to talk about today? I don't know. Yeah, the usual, I'm God, nobody will listen to me, nobody cares. And what else? What else do I want to talk about? Well, I've bought a few new items. I was thinking yesterday about, well, this is the thing, do I want to talk about it on camera? Probably. Well, look, I got this yesterday. This is called a Ledger Stacks. Ledger Stacks, yeah. It's a hardware wallet for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. It's the most. I think it's the most expensive one you can buy. I think. Or yeah. Well, it was before. How much was it? It was £369. So yeah, it's quite expensive. I need to charge it actually. I haven't used it yet. But yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people were unhappy with Ledger, the company, because they have a service. It's called Ledger Recover. It's a really interesting service. So, to most Bitcoiners, right? I mean, the thing is, I got into Bitcoin when after, it was not long after the Mt. Gox crash. This is like 10 years ago. So that's when I first got into Bitcoin. And then I bought Bitcoin. Back then I had almost 40 Bitcoins. And I lost them all. I lost them all. And then I went without cryptocurrency for a couple of years. And then, well, because my mum died of cancer, I had some money. So I thought, you know what, I'll get back into Bitcoin. And I bought some Bitcoin. And I'm what people would call I'm hodling. Yeah, I'm hodling, which means holding on for dear life. But anyways, it's well, that's the thing. I'm God, so why am I holding on for dear life? I'm God. I'm eternal. I live. Yeah, it's not like I die. I live forever. So yeah, what I mean. Anyways, so there's a service with Ledger. It's called Ledger Recover, and what it does is it takes the I think so. It's like a protocol that's with it's in the software, obviously. The hardware wallet, what it does is it encrypts the seed phrase. A seed phrase is what is used to recover. It's used to recover a wallet if So yeah, you know, there's like a 12 word or 24 word seed phrase usually, and that will recover a wallet. And the Ledger Recover, what it does is that you pay Ledger, and what they do is they take your seed. So the seed phrase it's encrypted on the device, and then it gets split into 3 shards. It's what it's called. It's split into 3 shards, and it's sent off to 3 different companies. And the only way to, so if the recovery is needed and you don't have the seed phrase, like if I wanted to recover my wallet without the seed phrase, I can register with Ledger, and they'll check my identity so that they can recover it using, so the restore happens from the shards that are from the 3 different companies. It only needs 2 shards, 2 of the 3 shards to create the restore, the wallet restore. So it's you know, it's quite expensive. Is it quite expensive? No, well, it's not that expensive. I mean, it works out about £10 a month or something like that, right? Is it even that? I don't know. Is it? It's not much. It's not that much, really. It's not that much, really. And the thing is that they do actually say that if someone else steals your wallet, so if someone manages to hack your identity and restore your wallet onto their device and steal your money, steal your cryptocurrencies, then I suppose is that only for Bitcoin? I don't know. I think it is. Well, anyway, they have a cover. They cover in the event of loss. In the event of someone stealing your wallet through Ledger Recover, they will cover you for $50,000. So that's okay, actually. I mean, paying £10 a month for an easy restore service, and they cover for $50,000. So in the event that anything, you know, any losses are incurred. So it's an interesting service. So actually, yeah, I've got it from my Ledger stacks. So yeah. It seems like an interesting service. You know, it made me think about, because the programmer from Ledger who was talking about it on YouTube, his name's Charlie. And obviously my biological flesh dad, his name is Charles, right? And the guy called King Charles, you know, who sits on the throne of England, yeah? He's the reigning monarch. His birthday's the same as mine, yeah? And obviously, well, I'm God, I'm Father. You understand? And you know what it says about, you know, you know, when in the New Testament it talks about, you know, witnesses. You know, if you have a problem with someone, you know, if there's, you know, if you have some type of you know, matter that needs to be spoken about, you know, you have 2 or 3 witnesses, right? And that's the thing. That's the interesting thing about Ledger Recover, is that, you know, it has the witnesses, you know, the different shards, the different companies that hold on to the information. So there's, you know, the 2 or 3 witnesses, and then there's the ID, and then there's the wallet restore and all that shit, right? So some weird, yeah, anyways, you probably have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, but I sense magic is what I do. Okay, I do magic because I'm God. I'm a curse breaker. People who put curses on me, I break them. That's what I do. Okay, that's what I like to do. All right. So I'm just explaining that for some reason. I don't know why. Anyways, so I got that. So I'm gonna give that a go. What else can I talk about? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was thinking yesterday about, security, like home security, how to prevent people who might have ideas about stealing stuff. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm not particularly worried about that really, but I was thinking about it. Yeah, interesting thought. Really, that's the thing, right? Anybody who's got money, whether it's, do you know what I mean? That's the thing. People, there are always going to be thieves out there who are violent, who are going to be like, we want that. They're going to, you know what I mean? That's the thing. There are always going to be some people out there, and obviously it's worse in some, it depends where you live, it depends where you are, it depends who you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because in the age of, because we live, people have cryptocurrency. Yeah, it's a bit, yeah, it definitely makes, for thieves, it's definitely, yeah. I don't know what safeguards do, I don't know how, I don't know enough about it. I need to know more about it, really. But ultimately, I'm not worried, really, too much. I feel like I've taken enough precautions, so, for the most part. I don't even go, when do I even see people? Like, hardly ever, anyway. So, I basically, I don't have any friends. I don't socialize with anybody. And that means, I'm literally meaning anybody. Nobody. Zilch. So, for a guy who spends most of his time at home, yeah, yeah. And, obviously, there are lots of precautions. There are lots of ways I can protect myself. And there are a lot of ways, yeah, to protect myself. So I'm not worried. At all. I'm God at the end of the day. So even if someone did manage to steal everything I have, it's not the worst thing. That's the thing. I've been on that roller coaster before. So that's the thing, right? There was a time when I had almost 40 bitcoins, yeah, and I lost it all. I became homeless for a while, actually. Yeah, I did. Had to go back to, and I went and worked for minimum wage as a van driver. Yeah, you know what I mean? And here I am. You know what I mean? Like, I'm God. The fact is that the world should be handing me billions and billions and billions and billions and billions. I'm talking trillions, actually. Do you know what I mean? I should be richer than Elon Musk. I really should be. I'm God. I'm here for justice. So, why should I be worried about a damn thing? The only reason I'm actually, I'm at the moment now because I'm sick and tired of having to tell people who I am. And having to explain it to them, and they don't believe me. So I'm just thinking, well, you know what? I want a holiday. I want to go have some fun. Everybody can go fuck themselves. I hate them. So I'll go do what I want to do, and yeah, I'm just thinking about other stuff to do for a change. So I want to go make some money. I want to focus on my health, like quitting smoking and stuff like that, right? Yeah. I wonder what my videos will sound like after I quit smoking. I'll probably sound like complete. If you think I sound crazy now, wait until I quit smoking. Yeah, that's gonna be like, you're gonna hear me, you're gonna see me. My face is gonna look. I'm gonna look so angry, probably. I wouldn't be surprised. That's usually how it goes. I get very cranky. Very cranky. Anyways, I've got my coffee being delivered soon. I mentioned in my video yesterday when they delivered it to me, the cup was the coffee cup was in the bag. It was like that in the bag, and it didn't spill. I was like, what the fuck? How lucky was that? I mean, you know, what if you given me the bag and as soon as I took it in the house, the whole thing just fell apart in the bag, and it just fucking went everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, shit. That's not good. But anyway, hopefully today I'll get my coffee the right way up, so rather than sideways. What did I order with it? I got my large mocha, whole milk, chocolate dusting, sugar, and I got 2 chocolate twists, a salted caramel brownie. I got some like caramel waffle things, and a bottle of Coca-Cola. It's 40% off. Ooh, hang on a second. Okay, so yeah, it's the right way up today, so that's good. Ooh, don't spill. Alright, got my bottle of Coca-Cola. Got my 2 chocolate twists that are stone cold, even though I asked them to be heated. Never mind. And I got some chewy caramel waffles. Never tried them before, so I thought they were going to be yeah, I don't know, whatever. So, you want to watch me eat my breakfast? Wait a second. Hang on a second. They didn't give me any sugar. Damn it. That's so annoying. I mean, I can deal with it, but you know what I'm saying? But do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, look at that. Where's, do you know what I mean? It's a bit. Yeah, I don't know. Ooh. Anyways, whatever. Well, seeing as all this stuff is flipping cold, do I need to eat it right now? No, not really. Oh, I'm kind of hungry though. Should I eat one? I mean, chocolate twists. That's what I'm saying, like, you know what chocolate twist is, right? I'm addicted to chocolate twist. Anyways, put that to one side for now, so we can talk. Yeah, I got some important stuff to say. Maybe. So yeah, you know, I was thinking like, money. Right now, you know, I want to get my life sorted. I want to get I want to get my life organized so that I can make some decisions. What are my decisions going to be? I don't know. I mean, I've been talking about, you know, maybe I want to move to Dubai or Portugal or maybe even somewhere like El Salvador or somewhere else, right? Somewhere where, do you know what I mean? But that's the thing. I'm thinking about, well, Dubai, it doesn't actually sound as good as it, you know, people like to make out it's a great place to go live and whatever, but is it really that great? Is it really as nice as people make it out to be? You know, it's not. It's very expensive living there as well. So that's the thing, right? Because they have lots of tax incentives. So if someone wants to live in Dubai, then taxes can be very low, right? Or there are no taxes in some cases, especially on cryptocurrency. But then again, living there and paying for everything is really expensive. So it's like, well, if you're going to go there with the idea of making loads of money and saving money from paying taxes, well, really you have to live frugally. What, frugally? No, not frugally. Frugally? Frugal. Oh, sorry, my vocabulary is absolutely that's terrible. But basically live, you know, yeah, frugally. Yeah, that's the right word, I think. Yeah. Basically, you know, well, that's the thing. You know, if you want to go to Dubai to make, you know, to save money on taxes and stuff like that, well, you know, there's no point going to all the fancy restaurants and all the fancy bars and hotels and paying for loads of stuff that costs. Do you know what I mean? Like when, you know, if the idea, you know what I mean, if I was going to Dubai to party, do you know what I mean? Like, well, it doesn't really seem like a great idea. Do you know what I mean? If I want to go to Dubai to get a place to live, a cheap place to live, well, as cheap as I can get, and apparently it's very expensive though. Apparently lots of wealthy Russians have been buying property there, so, you know, it basically means that if I went to Dubai, I'd have to, you know, find a decent place, you know, I have to watch how much money I spend. And anyways, whatever. And it kind of makes me think, well, you know, if I went to Dubai to do that, you know, how does that, what difference does that make? You know, how does that compare to living in this country and paying taxes? You know, what's the real difference? You know, where's the benefit in really doing that? And I mean, also, you know, you know, if I was going to Dubai, you know, I'd probably be there 6 months a year and I'd be traveling a lot as well. You know, maybe I'd do that. Maybe I want to be traveling a lot. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Portugal seems like a really nice idea. Although, to be honest, I've never been to Portugal. I've been to Spain, obviously. I've been to Spain, and I don't mind the idea of living near Spain. Portugal, you know, I've heard a lot of people like Portugal. It sounds like a nice place to live. I imagine it's, you know, it's fairly similar to Spain in a lot of ways. I don't know how to speak Portuguese. I know how to speak Spanish. I can speak a lot of Spanish. I could if I practiced. You know what I mean? I mean, I remember when I went to Spain when I was 16 years old on a school trip. I was with the boarding school Charterhouse, and I went to Spain. And yeah, you know, I was having conversations with people in Spanish, and yeah, I mean, I didn't feel, I felt like I had enough to survive on. Do you know what I mean? I felt like I could speak enough Spanish to, get around and, so, it was okay. It was okay. Yeah. Saying that, most of that trip I was drunk, so the teachers were chasing me everywhere. Well, they weren't chasing me, but they knew I was getting drunk. It was terrible. The very first day we went there, so we were on the coach trip. We were going on by coach, I guess through France, down to Spain. Yeah, I think it would have been, wouldn't it? It would have been by coach. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And then we stopped off at Bilbao. And we went to the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao. And I'm trying to remember what happened. Like, what the fuck happened? Because I remember, yeah, we were supposed to go to the Guggenheim Museum. Shit, I can't believe I did this. It's crazy. So we went to the Guggenheim Museum. It's some fucking really wacky, fucking weird, creepy art. I mean, like, you go in there and all I could think was like, these people are mentally, like whoever made this art is like seriously like deranged. Like, do you know what I mean? Like some fucking really weird art that what they call, it's ugly art. It's, it's ugly stuff, right? Anyways, we went to the Guggenheim, and I remember going to the cafe in the Guggenheim, and I ordered lager, because you can get lager in the cafe there. And I was sitting in the cafe, and there's like all these other Carthusian school kids, right? Kids from my school, boys from my school. And I was sitting at a table by myself, because no one wanted to sit next to me, because I was getting drunk. And obviously I wasn't allowed to drink. So I had my pint behind, I had my half liter drink, beer. And I was hiding it behind the handkerchief dispenser. So when the teacher came in, he didn't see it, he just saw the handkerchief dispenser. Yeah, I had a lot of close calls when I was at school. I was always, do you know what I mean? Sometimes the teacher would be looking at me, and I'm literally I used to do all kinds of, you know what I mean? Like I would put cigarettes in Coke cans and stuff like that. So I'd be like holding a Coke can, and I would actually be smoking a cigarette, and they wouldn't even. So I got away with all kinds of shit. But anyway, that day I went out of the Guggenheim Museum. I went into the town. I went into the city. In Bilbao. I went out of the museum, went into the town. I went to a bar. And I went drinking at a bar there, and then I came back just in time for when they were going to leave the Guggenheim, and I found them outside, and yeah, I was pissed. I was totally pissed. And we got on the coach, and apparently what happened was I fell asleep on the coach, and I'd fallen. I was leaning out into the aisle of the coach, so people thought they thought something had happened to me. They obviously knew a lot of the boys knew I was drunk. And apparently what I did was I got up and I walked to the front of the coach while I was on the motorway, and I started kicking the front door to let me out. I needed to take a piss. So the teacher, so they took us to a service station, so I managed to go to the toilet. And then the guys, they all told me the story, that that's apparently what I'd done. And I didn't remember, I was drunk. So, and obviously the teachers were not impressed with my behaviour, and they assumed that they asked me if I'd been drinking. I said no sir. And I got, I got away with absolute murder, as some people would say. I was a very naughty boy. Well, I was all about the drinking and smoking, let's put it that way. I wouldn't say I was You know what I mean? That's what I did, right? And I did a lot of it. So I got away with a lot, though. I really did. I got away with so much. You know, it wasn't like I was going around getting in fights with people, or, do you know what I mean? It wasn't like I was trying to, you know what I mean? Like, but when it came to drinking and smoking, yeah, I was, you know, I was smoking. You know, I went to a restaurant in Spain, and you know, the teachers took us there, and I went to the toilet to smoke in the toilet, and the teacher, you know, knew, and he's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it was always me. Do you know what I mean? People, teachers would be like, someone's been smoking here, someone's been smoking there, and you know, everyone would look at me, and I'm like, it's not me. And they all know it's me, but I just say it's not me. So yeah, I lied a lot about when it was about smoking and drinking. Yeah, well, obviously I wanted to get away with it, didn't I? But my name is not, okay? Yeah, that's the thing. You know, demons like to think that my name is not. Yeah, so they call me not God. I'm God. My name is not. Okay? Yes, I have lied. Yes, I have. But, you know, when it's, do you know what I mean? I have told some lies. I'll be honest, I have. But I love the truth. That's the thing. I love the truth. I mean, I'm telling you the truth right now. All right? Yeah. Anyways, it's crazy being me, because I've got to think through all the shit that's happened in my life, all the things I've done, all the things I've said, all the things and all the witchcraft that people have done against me, you know? And all the stupid situations I've put myself in as well. So, anyways, whatever. I know this video it's all over the place. It's totally random, isn't it, really? I'm just speaking my mind. You know, I'm exercising my vocal cords, because you know, I wouldn't speak to anybody else. So who else am I going to talk to? I mean, I can talk to myself all day long. Which is basically what I'm doing. I'm basically just talking to myself, aren't I? And I'm recording it. I'm not saying that you are me. I'm saying, but the fact is that who's actually watching? Who's actually watching my recorded videos? Who is it? I sometimes watch them, if I can be bothered. But, you know, basically nobody watches them, so I think most of my videos say no views on them, and I've got almost 1,000 videos, so do you know what I mean? Like, I get one, you know, I get a couple on some videos, I might get, but what does that amount, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Wow, this is a terrible video, it really is. Let me see if I can salvage it somehow. This video is getting uploaded. It really is. Like, you know, if I'm recording a video, it's getting uploaded. So I was reading this morning about the what's that bitch's name? The Bishop of London. That woman. She's talking to you know, she's part of the Church of England. So she's whinging about microaggressions in the church, and how, you know, she sounds like, you know, a typical feminist, right? You know, basically talking about, you know, microaggressions and how everything's unfair because she's a woman, and you know, she should be running the church and all this kind of shit, right? Which she shouldn't. I mean, it's so dumb. I mean, and I read through all the comments. You know, so basically what she was talking about. She was talking about how, you know, I don't know what they call the diocese and the bishops and the different fucking, you know what I mean, like whatever, right? I mean, that none of that was in the New Testament, by the way. It was just, you know, the Church of England decided to, you know, invent names and invent things and say this and that, and this is how we're going to do things, you know, how they wanted to do things. Yeah, whatever. I don't care about it. Do I really want to know about all of it? No, I don't fucking care. I really don't. It's nothing to do with me. It's bullshit, is what it is. But the fact is, she's going on about microaggressions, you know, basically saying that more women should be in more positions of authority in leading the Church of England. And, excuse me. And so I went through the article. You know, I didn't read anywhere in the article that said that I didn't, you know, it didn't quote the verse, I do not permit a woman to teach, you know, I do not, you know, that is, you know, that was well explained, okay, from the New Testament. I mean, women weren't supposed to lead the church, or any church, you know, they're not supposed to do that. That was explained in the, you know, that kind of thing has been explained throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament. So why the hell is that happening in what people call the Church of England? Why is that happening? Well, because people are evil. That's why. They're demons. That's why. So I read through the comments section. So I thought, you know, I really want to see what are people's thoughts about this, right? You know, what do people have to say about this? And, you know, almost none of them mentioned the fact that women aren't supposed to lead the church. Like, I read through probably, you know, 40 or 50 comments. At least. And most of them are just, you know, they're whinging about her crying, about microaggressions, and, you know, basically saying stuff like that. It wasn't like she was crucified or, you know, stuff like that, right? But, you know, and yeah, I mean, there were only some minor mentions about, you know, the fact that women aren't supposed to lead in the church. And, you know, there were some very sort of, obviously there are feminists in the comment section, basically, you know, wanted to say how they hate God, basically, and that, you know, men are worse than women, basically, and stuff like that, you know, typical. But that's, you know, that's what I found, yeah. How fucking interesting, huh? Yeah. Fascinating stuff, huh? Anyways, yeah, I mean, any woman who, you know, that woman, that Bishop of London, what do you think's going to happen to her? What do you think God wants to do to her? Yeah, where do you think she's going when she dies? She ain't going to heaven. She ain't going to heaven, that's for sure. So then why the fuck is she the Bishop of London? So you hear the stories about the Pope Francis. He's got bronchitis. Well, you know, I probably have bronchitis. I mean, I cough phlegm all day long, every fucking day, so I guess I probably do have bronchitis, actually. Yeah, I probably do. The only thing is, I'm not 88 years old, I'm 37. Yeah, this is why I'm thinking about quitting smoking soon. You know, I'm hoping that my body heals. You know, I'm hoping that, you know, I can live another, you know, well, in this body. I'm hoping that in this body that I get to live. Well, that's the thing, you know, like, if the world is going to acknowledge me and accept that I'm God, then living in this body is something I, well, yeah, I want to do. But if the world is just going to fight me year after year after year after year without, you know, if my life is going to look like this for another 30 or 40 years, well, I don't want to live that life. I really don't. So whatever happens, happens at the end of the day. So I've accepted, you know, I accept what will happen will happen. I don't fear death. Certainly not in the same way other people do. I mean, nobody likes pain, do they? But, yeah. But that's the thing, you know, every day of my life is pain. Every fucking day is pain. Emotional pain, mental pain, and physical pain. So, and my body aches. Yeah, I mean, my body is sore. My body is sore from living the way I've lived for so long. So, yeah. So either I look after my body, or I don't. I'm trying to convince myself that I probably should. I look at the pictures of myself after I worked for that delivery company called Hermes. Yeah, I wasn't working for Hermes the messenger god. No, I wasn't working for him. But that's the thing, you know. I am. Well, that's who I worked for. I was a van driver, and I was in so much better shape back then. Bloody hell. And oh, I always remember I did that job. I did it for 6 months. Then I took 6 months off because of the COVID pandemic. Because of the people I was staying with, they didn't want me working because they were scared of coronavirus. So I took 6 months out, and then I went back after 6 months, and you know, I remember going back after 6 months and thinking like, oh shit. All the guys there were like, shit man, you put on weight. So when I came back, yeah, so it is hard work. What a fucking slog. Seriously. I mean, it's a race against the clock, and you know, and in the race you have to move bags that weigh 30, 40, 50, 60 kilos and do that multiple times, and that is, you know, and moving it between a shop and a van, which could be parked, you know, a long way away from the shop and stuff like that, and you know, it's an awful job. It really is awful. I mean, if they paid like, let's say, if they paid 30 grand a year for that job, then maybe I would do it. But they pay half that. They pay half that. So it's definitely not worth it. Yeah, people, you know, I used to drive, I used to work with guys who were ex-cons, right? So guys who'd been to prison. You know, quite a few guys there who had been, who'd been in prison. One guy had been in prison for murder. I think it was attempted murder, I think. Yeah, he'd been in prison quite a long time. He was an old guy, actually. He's a little old guy. He was like, I don't know. He was quite a short guy. He was probably less than 5'5", I think. Yeah, I think he was like 5'4", 5'3". I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah. And I used to work with him. You know, I mean, we go out and do the job to get. You know, I would have to go in the van with him some days. And yeah, because usually there was always a spare driver. So it meant that, you know, there would always be two people, there would always be, you know, someone working together with somebody else, usually. Unless they're, you know, it depends, because, you know, people take sick days and people don't come to work and shit like that. So, you know, every single day, you don't really know. I never knew what I was going to do. You know, there are a lot of drivers, they would have a set route, and they'd be like, I want a route, I'm going to do that route. And for me, I was doing different routes, like, every fucking day. You know what I mean? It was like, I'll come in every day, it's like, all right, what am I doing today? You know, so I had to learn all kinds of routes, like so many different routes. I mean, I did have set routes for a while, but wow. And those routes, I'm telling you, they're like 100 miles long. And that involves going to, you know, 15 different shops along the way. And, you know, finding parking spaces, that, knowing how to get parked at all the different places. And, you know, and how to get it done as quickly as possible. You know, it's quite a lot to remember, actually. Because, you know, you have to battle with other people for their parking spaces. And then you got to know, so you got to know best place to park. You got to know, you know, where you're gonna park if you can't get parked there, and, you know, you gotta know how to, you know, deal with the shop in case there are any problems working in that shop and stuff like that. And fucking hell, what a fucking nightmare. And how to deal with all the traffic and all the, and obviously traffic changes, and, you know, there are all the roadworks and all that kind of shit, and you might have to take different routes, and, you know, you might have areas you have to avoid or whatever, right? And obviously weather as well. Don't forget about the weather. Fucking hell. And having to drive like a freaking maniac. And having to move tons and tons of parcels. I mean, that's the thing. You know what I mean? Every single day I was shifting a ton of parcels. Do you know what I mean? I was having to pick up and carry over a ton of parcels every fucking day. At least. Do you know what I mean? Like, fucking awful job. I mean, it was kind of fun in a way. It was kind of fun in a way because, you know, it meant that I could sit in my van and there was no boss in my van, so I would just smoke my cigarettes all day in the van. Do you know what I mean? I'd just roll down the window, flick my ash out the window, and just drive, have the radio on. You know, that's what I liked about it, right? Because obviously in an office, I can't smoke at my desk. So for me, that was fun, right? So, you know, and it meant I could sit and listen to the radio. I could, and, you know, it meant I got to go outside. I get to see sunlight, you know. I get outside to get fresh air. You know, it got me exercise as well, and it meant that I didn't have to be around a bunch of people that I hate. So, it meant that most of the time I was by myself, which was great. That's what I liked. And if I had to go into a shop to speak to someone who I think is a total arsehole, well, I don't have to deal with them for a certain set amount of time. Usually most people in most shops were usually okay. So, there were some places, some people I really didn't like having to talk to at all. They were just rude and nasty. And you know what, I would be rude, and, you know what I mean, if I thought someone was being rude to me, you know what I mean, like, I wouldn't put up with people's bullshit. I would just, you know, if they were going to be rude to me, well, they were going to receive my rudeness as well. I was in the mindset of totally not giving a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as I get the job done, as long as I get the parcels back to the depot and sent off, as long as I can tick those boxes off and make sure all that's finished, I'm happy. You know, I'm not out there to, you know, kiss anybody's ass. I'm not out there to make anyone, you know, I'm not out there to put a smile on anybody's face. I'm out there to do the fucking job. And if people don't like how I do it, well, fuck off. And that was it, you know. And I basically, I just didn't care. Do you know what I mean? I used to just drag people's parcels along the ground, you know, in the through puddles and all sorts of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't give a fuck about people's stuff. But, you know, I don't have enough time. You don't have enough time to worry about that shit. Do you know what I mean? They don't pay you enough. I mean, they don't give you trolleys to carry stuff on. Do you know what I mean? They give you some fucking wet, fucking half torn to shreds bags that are falling apart. And, you know, they expect you to move a mountain every time you go to a fucking shop. Do you know what I mean? Imagine, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like. You go into a fucking shop and there'd be fucking a mountain of parcels to move. And I'm not talking like little fucking, you know, I'm talking heavy stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm not moving fucking like fucking computers and TVs and stuff like that. You know, guitars and, you know, people have metal objects and, you know, stuff that's like, some shit's really fucking heavy. You know what I mean? Like fucking solids and people, you know what I mean? Like, there's no, you know what I mean? If you're sending something that's delicate and fragile via Hermes and it's worth a lot of money, well, you're a fucking moron. That's what you are. You've decided to. I mean, who the fuck buys a television and then says, "I know what I'll do. I'll send it via Hermes or Every or whatever it's called now." I mean, you must be completely fucking insane. You know, why would you pick the cheapest? You know, why would you pick the company that is the cheapest and has the worst reputation for it? You know, I mean, if you're sending someone a T-shirt, great. Do you know what I mean? It's not a big deal. Do you know what I mean? If you're sending someone a T-shirt or a jumper or a pair of shoes or something like that, then who gives a fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like, chances are they're going to get to where they're going. They'll be absolutely fine. You know, I would suggest waterproof packaging. Because, you know, there's always the chance that, you know, it might get totally fucking soaked. But, yeah, and the thing is, the drivers, they don't care. They really don't fucking care. Most of them really don't care. I mean, a lot of the drivers, they have fun just, like, smashing stuff. You know, it's just like, I remember one guy, he had an electric guitar. It was a guitar, right? And it might have been me, actually. But, you know, he's bringing it to the conveyor belt at the end of the day. And he's just like, and he just smashed it on there. You know, it's just, you know, and all the guys are laughing. I think it's fucking hilarious. Yeah. And, you know, it's after a long day of hard work, you're like, yeah, fuck these parcels. I don't give a shit. You know, it's like, well, you know, like some people, you know, like some men, you know, like, well, and women, I suppose, but, you know, some people like to have a punch bag, you know, like, they want to have something they can take their frustration out on, you know, and that's basically what happens in that job, you know. A lot of the time, you end up taking the frustration out on the parcels that you're supposed to deliver. And, you know, part of you feels bad. You're like, oh yeah, that's kind of bad. But at the same time, it's like, why the fuck are these people using this company anyway? Do you know what I mean? It's so bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people want to send a 50-inch television through Hermes. I mean, do you know what I mean? Well, you get what you get at the end of the day. That's how it goes. I mean, there's so many people they'll whinge about the company and they'll say like, yeah, but the service is this, and you know, they expect their expectations. I mean, that's the thing. You don't go to McDonald's and expect a Michelin star chef to fucking work there, do you? No, you don't. You don't, because you know that it's cheap. It's cheap, and you expect the quality to, you know, you know that the price you pay is indicative of the quality that you will receive. Yet people don't seem to understand that. People don't seem to understand that idea. They can't seem to get that through their thick skulls. So, yeah. So it's their fault at the end of the day. You know, it's their fault. You know, if people want to use, you know, people are free to send whatever they want through Hermes, but, you know, pretty well, not anything. But the fact is that people have to think carefully. You know, people will live, you know, people should learn what's the good, you know. If they haven't figured it out, then it's their own fucking problem, right? Whatever. You know, I get most of my stuff delivered by Amazon. You know, I like Amazon, their deliveries. I've never, I get stuff delivered by Amazon. It's great. Do you know what I mean? Like, when most of the time I get stuff from Amazon, the boxes are in good condition, the items are in good condition. I don't get stuff that's smashed to pieces. I don't, but yeah. So I'm happy with Amazon's service. I mean, do I really like Amazon as a company? Not really, but that's really how it is these days. You know what I mean? Like, where else am I supposed to buy stuff from? Do you know what I mean? Like, if I go buy from other vendors, from other websites, they send with shit delivery companies. Never know when they're gonna arrive, and they always arrive at weird times. And for me, ordering from Amazon it's so convenient. It really is the most convenient, and it's usually the cheapest as well. So yeah, I never did the job of actually delivering to people's houses. Although I did on a few occasions. On a few occasions, I had to collect items that were too big. I remember I had to go to a customer's house, a person's house one day. I had to go collect. I think it was like a big rug or something like that, and I had to do that only because it was too big to be delivered any other way. So it had to be delivered through my 3.5 ton Luton van. Yeah. The worst thing about that job was that you never knew what day, because they have Hermes vans, so they're Renault vans, and they have reverse cameras on the back of them. And if you don't get those, then the other van is it's a Mercedes Sprinter. But the thing about the Mercedes Sprinter is it doesn't have a speed limit. See, the Hermes van are limited to 62 miles per hour, but they have the reverse cameras, which is great. But they don't have any tail lift. They're lower down at the back, but they don't have a tail lift. But if you get a Mercedes Sprinter, it doesn't have a reverse camera, but at the back it'll have an electronic tail lift, because it's a lot higher up. So, but the thing is, having that reverse camera is so fucking useful. Like, when you cannot see, having to park in all sorts of weird places, when you cannot see what's behind the van, I tell you what, parking a fucking van in a tight space without having a reverse camera, I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, no thanks. You know what I mean? Like, you're just risking, do you know what I mean? Like, you do that, you risk you risk having an accident, you risk having extra paperwork to fill out, you got, all sorts of shit to do, and, who wants to waste their time doing that? Do you know what I mean? And for how much money an hour? Was it £6 an hour, £7 an hour, or whatever it is? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crap. It's totally crap. Terrible money. Yeah, I remember one guy. So he was an ex-con. In fact, actually, after he left Hermes, he disappeared one day, I think. Yeah, because he'd been to prison multiple times, and he went back to prison. I remember seeing him on the motorway, because I was driving back on my route, and he was in a van with a friend of his, and he pulled up to the window and waved at me, and I saw him, and I was like, I recognised him, but he looked so much slimmer. So he'd obviously been to prison again. He'd lost a lot of weight, but I used to go out on the job. I used to do routes with him quite a lot for a while. I can't remember what his name is now. Dan? I can't remember. Is it Dan? Maybe it was Dan. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyways, he used to drive like a freaking maniac. I mean, he was speeding like fucking. You know, I went in the van one day, and you know, he would, you know, you drive it like a race course. He really would. You drive, you know, especially out in the countryside. And there's not really a lot of traffic out there usually, but you know, he's driving around like, you know, it's like a race course. And one day he'd come back from his route. I saw the van outside, and I was like, it was all smashed up at the front, and basically he'd gone around, and that's the thing, right? He was speeding around a corner, which is something I never do, right? Do you know what I mean? Like if I'm going around a corner, I go around a corner cautiously, you know, because you never know what's around there. But he'd gone around this corner without any concern for what actually might be around the corner. And guess what? He hit a fucking tree because it'd been a storm, and a tree had come out into the road, and it totally smashed up the passenger side of his van. So luckily, I wasn't in the passenger seat that day. But yeah, I don't know if I think he was all right. I don't remember him having any injuries or anything, but he smashed up that side of the van anyway, the passenger side more than the driver's side. And yeah, luckily I wasn't in that fucking seat, so there you go. I mean, shit, I used to see drivers that fucking driving around, they don't even wear a fucking seatbelt. Seriously, like, do you know what I mean? They've got 10 minutes, they're driving 10 or 15 minutes between shops, and they're like, yeah, well, why put on the seatbelt then? What's the point? You know? And it's like, yeah, but it only takes you about 5 seconds to put your seatbelt on. You know what I mean? Just put it on. Like, you know, they're of the idea, well, I'm driving a 3.5 ton van, so if I do crash, probably be okay anyway. You know what I mean? They don't think, you know, like, they think they're the bigger vehicles, so chances are, you know, it's not going to make that much of a difference. But yeah, always put your seatbelt on. That's my suggestion. Yeah, there's some terrible drivers. I remember one guy. He was always swearing. He was always arguing and swearing at the manager, like fuck, shit. You know, just he had a serious mouth on him, that guy. And he had a route, and part of his route there was a business woman. You know, there was a woman with a business, and she used to run it from her house, and she used to have a car in her driveway, a spare car, and the car, she would fill up the car with loads of parcels to be collected from her house. So this guy, his job was to basically park outside her house, go onto her driveway, open the car on the driveway that's full of parcels, take all the parcels out, put them in the van, and drive off. And I was there with him one day, and I was standing by the van, and he went over to the car, and he just took these boxes, and he just went catch, and he just fucking lobbed it into the air. Do you know what I mean? He's just like throwing it as fucking high in the air and as far. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, whoa, and I'm just catching all these parcels. Just, you know, he's just throwing them across the street to me, basically. Well, not across the street, but do you know what I mean? He was like, didn't give a shit about the parcels. And he's literally in front of the woman's house, and he's just chucking her parcels. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, just totally no care in the, no, you know what I mean? A lot of the drivers, they don't care about the parcels. They really have no, they don't give a shit if they get smashed. They don't care if they get they don't care. They don't care. And that's the thing, right? Because, you know, when you work there, you've got to compete with guys who will break the speed limit. You got to compete with guys who don't care about the parcels. You got to compare about guys who don't care about arguing with people. You know, they don't care about going to prison. You know? So I had to compete with guys who were like that, okay, and all for how much money an hour? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the dumbest job ever, but you know, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny in a way. I'm glad I got the experience, but I'm glad I can say I've done it. But at the same time, it's like, you know, it's a serious. This is, you know what I mean, like the word cowboy sort of, you know, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a bizarre thing. It's a bizarre thing working for a delivery company like that. I mean, that's the thing, because there's a lot of delivery companies, but you know, that company in particular, Every, or Hermes as it used to be called, is like, it's basically like, it has the worst reputation, you know, and yeah, I mean, I mean, working for a different delivery company, they might be, you know, I mean, if you work for a UPS, for instance, then, you know, they have very high, their standards are a lot higher, right? So, you know, you can't go around driving like a maniac, you know, because they usually put things on board the vans to make sure you don't do that. You know, they don't want you driving around corners like a maniac. They don't want you, you know, they measure the G-forces in your vans and stuff like that, you know, make sure you're driving in a very particular way. And obviously, you know, they expect the packages to be in good condition. But with Hermes, nobody cares. I mean, it's literally throw, drive like a maniac, drag your parcels along the ground, yeah, all that kind of shit, basically. I mean, it was, do you know what I mean? It's like, do you know what I mean? It's almost like I lived the life of a vandal for a year. It's interesting how the word vandal is in the word van. The word van is in the word vandal. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I have to say, after doing that job, I did feel like a bit of a vandal. And you know, it's not because I wanted to treat people's parcels with so much disrespect, but it was, you know, the anger and the rage. You know what I mean? It was seething out of my pores. You know what I mean? I was like, ah. You know, I just go fucking mental. Like, I'm gonna fucking smash someone today. And you know, usually, you know, throwing someone's parcel, fucking smashing it. You know, it made me feel better. You know, I felt better for doing it that way. You know, I'd have so much rage and, you know, just smash something, and you know, nobody knows about it, no one cares. You know, I feel better for doing it. You know, I feel like I've managed to take my rage out on something. You know, and then I can move on with my day. I mean, that was what the job was like. I mean, because the work conditions were so crap, they're shit. I mean, I actually went in the back of the van one day. It was one of the guys who used to be an ex-con, the older guy. I can't remember his name now, but I went in the back of his van, and I found a puddle of piss in the back of the van, and you know, I went in there and I could smell the piss, and I was like, oh fuck, and I had to use that van that day. And do you know what I mean? Like you really don't, you know, having the back of the van covered in piss. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, there are bags in there, got to be dragged across, and do you know what I mean? Half the bags are probably covered in fucking piss as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, what filthy fucking dirty fucking job that was. And I went and complained. I said to the manager, I was like, I'm not fucking using that van. So you fucking, you know, I told him to fucking wash it out. So I ain't fucking driving that van until someone fucking gives that a good fucking clean. But basically, yeah, you know, he didn't even want to clean it. He was like, he was trying to just, you know, he didn't want to deal with it. So, you know, it's, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, like, you know, the guy had obviously been pissing in the back of the van in a jug. So apparently he was trying to piss in a jug, and he missed the jug, basically, or he spilt the jug or something. I don't know, but a lot of guys do that. You know, that's the thing. When you're out on the road, you've got 100 miles to do. Well, you basically have, you know, you stop off at different places, different shops, and if they don't let you use the toilet there, they should do. But if they don't, then where are you gonna piss? Do you know what I mean? Or where are you gonna take a shit? You know, and obviously, when I was out during the day, I don't think I almost never used the toilet while I was out, because, I mean, so I would sometimes in some places, but most of the time I wouldn't, because well, I was always sweating. Do you know what I mean? I was drinking energy drinks all day long, and I was pouring sweat. So, you know, most of the, do you know what I mean? And usually I take a shit in the morning. So, yeah. So going to the toilet, I didn't do it very often during the day. Yeah. Awful job. Filthy, degrading. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, people have such a low opinion of you as well. They think, you know, you know, a lot of them would be shocked to see me now. Do you know what I mean? They would be shocked to know that I don't work anymore. I've got loads of money. You know, when I left that place, before I left that place, I was driving an Audi S3. That was my mum's old car. When she died, she gave that to me, the Audi S3 convertible. And then I got a Jaguar F-Type R. You know, I drove a car that's worth £100,000, or it was when I bought it. Yeah, I mean, I only did that job because I didn't want to do anything else. You know, I didn't want to work with anybody else. I wanted to be in a van by myself. Really. That's really all I wanted to do. I wanted to be left alone by people. And I have to say, you know, like, I had a laugh with some of the drivers, I'll be honest. Although, you know, the fact is, I'm God, and people don't acknowledge it, so it's a very serious problem for them. And anybody who doesn't, if people don't acknowledge who I am, well, it's a serious problem. It really is. There are some very rude people who worked at that depot. Some very rude, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be like, hello, hi, how's it going? And they just stare at me and not say anything. They wouldn't say a fucking word. I mean, do you know what I mean? Just people who are like that. You know what I mean? Like, they can't even, if I say hello, how are you? And then all I get from them is a stare. You know, like they hate me. And it's like, but why do you hate me? You know what I mean? It's having to work with guys who are like that. I mean, like, seriously? I mean, you know, and I had to deal with that. I had to deal with guys who were rude unnecessarily. And so, you know, and that's one of the reasons, you know, I'm used, you know, I've worked with so many shitty people. Yeah. So, you know, the fact that was the reason I became a van driver, was because I didn't want to have to be sat next to people I hated. Or be in the same office as people. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to, yeah. I couldn't be bothered to work in IT anymore. It's nice to get away from the computer screen, really. Anyway, I mean, for a while, I was actually thinking, because there's some, you know, I was thinking maybe I could do my own van driving business. Because there's a company, you know, there's a I saw it online. I heard about some guy talk about it on YouTube, and I don't know what it's like now or what it's, but but if you got enough money for a van and insurance and all that stuff, then there's like you can actually find work online. There's a system that you can buy. There's a service that you can get access to, and it basically it lists all the jobs in it. It will show you all kinds of contractor jobs. So basically you work as a van driver but as a contractor. So I would see them at the depot sometimes. When I used to work at Hermes or Every, there were contractors who would come and work there, and they would get paid a lot more money for being a contractor in a lot of cases. So if you have your own van and you're prepared to do all the paperwork for the business side of things, sort out your own taxes and stuff like that, then you can actually do it that way. But you have to look after the van, you have to factor in all the repair costs, you have to do all that, get your insurance sorted and all that kind of stuff. But I was thinking about doing that for a while, although apparently it's a very different job, because sometimes you have to go really far. So you might want to do a road trip from southwest England all the way up to Scotland and then back again. Do you know what I mean? You basically, you can go all around the country, and people would do that. They would go all around the country. They would sleep in their vans, camp near their vans or whatever, right? And people would just go around, and you can pick up jobs along the way. So you can basically, you try to make, the idea is that you try and get as much work and money as you can for as little petrol and cost as you can. So you're trying to get as much work as you can do. You know what I mean? You're trying to make as much money as you can. And obviously you want to build up your rating on the system, so you have lots of good reviews, because obviously if you and that's the other thing, right? Because if you have a bad reputation as a contractor, well, no one's going to want to fucking hire you, are they? So, what I mean? There's always that risk as well, right? But, obviously there are a lot of people who do it. They'll have a second-hand van, or they'll lease a van or something, I don't know. But, and also, more and more people are having electric vans these days. So, obviously that costs a ton of money. I mean, and they don't go very far either, so I don't know. It's yeah. So I was thinking about doing that for a while actually, and I changed my mind. I mean, obviously I've got all this money now, so I don't need to. But I was considering it for a while. I even suggested to other guys. I said, hey, but yeah, it's an interesting idea, but yeah, it's funny, to think, I was an IT network I was an IT network engineer. To think that I would end up, I never ever thought that I would end up being a van driver at one point. But I did, strangely. I mean, it was definitely, I laughed a lot. I mean, I had a lot of, there were some funny moments. I mean, that's the thing. It was a hard job, and it was stressful. But do you know what I mean? I mean, that's how you get through stressful situations. And just laugh. Eventually you gotta laugh about things. You know what I mean? Like, and it was good. It was good fun. Some of it was good fun. Yeah. I remember hearing about one guy. I went driving with him a couple of times, I think. He, yeah, I think he was suffering from depression. He got caught. He was from, I don't know, I think he was Eastern European, I think. But he got done for drink driving. He actually, I think what happened was, I can't remember the story actually. That they found him in the pub and he was totally drunk one day. Yeah, I think he was done for drink driving or something. Flipping out. I mean, I used to hear all sorts of strange stories. I mean, there's one shop I used to go to that was near the depot, actually. It wasn't far away from the depot, that we used to go there to pick up and collect parcels. And I think the owners changed to new owners, I think. But the previous owners, they were accused of child abuse. You know, it was in the local news, and apparently they had kids. You know, apparently, you know, someone said that they were keeping their kid in a cupboard in their flat above the shop and stuff like that. I mean, what a story, huh? Yeah, I mean, what a strange. It was such a strange experience working there. I got to meet a lot of strange people. Let's put it that way. It was a very boring, you know, like when you get to the depot and you've got nothing to do, you've got to stand around and just standing outside the depot smoking, and, you know, rats running around, and, well, you know, you've got all these rat traps everywhere, and you see fucking, you know what I mean, it's cold, it's wet, it's fucking, you know, you feel dirty and sweaty and want to go home, and ugh. Yeah, I mean, and the vans, fucking hell, some of the vans were so dirty. I get in vans someday and, you know, it'd be greasy steering wheels, greasy gear shifter, you know, fucking sweat covered seats, fucking, you know, people leaving their rubbish in vans, mud all over the fucking floor of the van. Yeah, you know, and you know, and van problems, you know, vans breaking down, you know, and I have to do daily checks as well, you know, every single day you'd have to check the van, make sure the van's in working condition, you know, check that you have to do all these kind of checks every single day before driving the van, you know, and that meant filling up with diesel and AdBlue and making sure there's enough washer liquid in there for, you know, for clearing the windows, all that kind of stuff. I don't miss it. I really don't miss it. Yeah. I mean, saying that, some of the routes can be really easy. Some people were very lucky and they had a route. You know, that's the thing. If you get one route to do, if the bosses say, okay, here's a route you can do, or you manage to negotiate with them saying, I'll only do one route, and then you get a route that's fucking easy. I mean, some people would be lucky and they would have a one route where, you know, it would be quite an easy route to do, you know. And if you're doing the same route every fucking day, it becomes a doddle, you know what I mean? Like, if you're doing the same route every day, you know, obviously you get used to how to do that. But if you're the kind of person who has to do different routes every fucking day, and, you know, the routes change as well, you know, the routes change every so often, so it can be, yeah, it's, definitely, so sometimes it can be easier than other times. And obviously, when I did it, it was during the coronavirus pandemic. So you know, the volumes of parcels more than doubled. I mean, that's the crazy thing. There was some, you know, normally you'd have parcels, you pick up like 300 parcels in a day, usually, maybe 500. But then it started getting to like silly numbers, like 1,000 in a day and stuff like that. But the other thing about that was there was less traffic on the road, so it meant driving was absolutely, you know, it was a lot more enjoyable to drive because there was no traffic. You know what I mean? Like just driving in through the countryside and not seeing you know what I mean? I used to drive through the countryside some days, wouldn't see another vehicle for, you know, I'd drive for 5 or 10 minutes and wouldn't even see another vehicle some days. But it meant having to collect so many parcels. Yeah. Oof. I mean, it was so ridiculous. You know, I used to have a shaved head and I'd wear a t-shirt. So I would literally, in the winter, I was wearing a t-shirt, I had a bald head, and I might put a hat on my head to keep my head warm, and I'd have gloves on for carrying all these parcels to keep my hands clean. And a lot of the time I was wearing a face mask as well, you know, you know, I was smoking like a chimney. You know, and pouring sweat in the middle of winter. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's fucking cold outside, but I did the entire winter. I wouldn't even put on a jumper. I wouldn't even put on a hoodie. Because I was, yeah. I mean, I would literally, my body would, I would overheat so much that, you know, I didn't need anything else. Do you know what I mean? I didn't need anything more than a t-shirt, really. Because I was, yeah, I mean, my blood was pumping like crazy. So, I was out of breath all the time. You know what I mean? I was always feeling like I was always trying to catch my breath from all the exercise involved. You know, it's a tough job. It's a really tough job. See, for a lot of people, you know, usually they would pack less, you know, because there were some women who did the job and they did pretty good at it as well. There was one girl and she started using a trolley. She made herself her own trolley to make it easier for herself to move the parcels and stuff like that. But you know, a lot of the people, what they would do, even got, you know, they would stack the bags. They would make them lighter, so they would move more bags with less weight in them. But I always like to fill my bags with. I would always make my bags heavier because I prefer to do less trips between the shop and the van. I preferred to carry a heavier weight, so I didn't have to walk as far, basically. So that's how I did it. So, you know, I put a lot of strain on my back doing that, but that's what I did. That's how I did it. I mean, I would literally, some days, you know, what I would do a lot of the time, I'd have a big sack of parcels, you know, I'd fill it to the top, almost to the top, and then I'd get another bag, and I'd fill that probably, you know, 2/3 of the way up, and then I would hoist the bag up, I'd lift it up, I'd use my foot. I used to be really good at picking up these bags, so I'd pick them up off the ground, and then I'd use my foot to manage to pull it up to chest height, and I could carry bags like that, and I would plonk another bag on top of another bag, and I would just pull with all my weight, and I would literally just drag, like, do you know what I mean? I was dragging my own weight and parcels all the time, just dragging them along the ground without giving a shit about the parcels that were at the bottom. I mean, usually I'd put something at the bottom that was, you know, something that looked like it would be protected or whatever, right? But most of the time I wasn't giving a shit. Most of the time I was just like, I'm getting it done. I don't care. You know, for me, it was a race against the clock. So I was always trying to. I can't believe I'm going to upload this video. But waffle. Yeah. Waffle. Chewy caramel waffles. I feel rock hard. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to watch some Lost, I think, and eat my breakfast, drink my bottle of Coke. I'll probably go for a shower. I've got to do some shopping soon. I take my car for a drive. I haven't driven my car for I don't know, I think it's been like 2 or 3 weeks. Yikes. It's definitely going to have a low battery. I'll tell you that. So I need to take that out I need to drive for about half an hour or an hour. Get the battery, charge the battery. There's nowhere I really want to go. That's the problem. I own a nice car, but there's nowhere I want to go. There aren't many places I want to go. I should probably do a shopping trip. I should probably go shopping more, actually. Yeah. I've actually got £300 of vouchers to spend at Marks and Spencer's. I need to buy new clothes. I really, really, really need to buy new clothes. I'm wearing joggers at the moment. And they've got all kinds of holes in them. I've got a massive hole where my crotch is. And the elastic waistband, it doesn't work anymore. The elastic's completely perished. So I'm constantly having to hold them up, stop them from falling down. My jeans, they've got, the belt loops are, ripped and stuff like that. So, and yeah, I mean, I really need new clothes. I don't even know what waist size I am anymore, so I have no fucking idea. So I need new socks. I've got a sock. I'm wearing a sock at the moment. My entire heel is exposed. Like literally, there's a hole. Like the hole's like that big around my heel. I need new socks. I need new underwear. I need new clothes. I've got about 500 t-shirts, brand new t-shirts upstairs. I've got so many t-shirts that I never need to buy another t-shirt ever again, probably. Seriously, I've got so many t-shirts that would last me until the end of my life, probably. Like seriously, it'd last me decades. So, I definitely don't need any more t-shirts. But yeah, maybe I should buy a new hat. Might buy a new hat. Get a hat. I need to get some new glasses. I really need new glasses. And yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things I could spend money on, to be honest. There's a lot. Luckily, I have a lot of money, so... Oh, hang on a second. Oh, excusez-moi. I'm thinking about buying a clarinet. I used to learn the clarinet when I was a kid, and actually what happened was that clarinet, when I stopped playing it, my mum took it, and she had it. So before my mum died, she used to have that clarinet, but when she died it went. So I should have kept it, really, or maybe I should have, but I didn't. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do, I'm thinking about buying another clarinet maybe. I wouldn't mind learning a few, I've also thought about maybe getting a guitar, maybe learning guitar, but I kind of think, I wouldn't mind learning bass guitar actually, but I mean, that's the thing, bass guitar or guitar. I think I like the idea of playing bass guitar because I like the strings, I like the thickness of the strings. But I think that's the thing about guitar is I don't really want to get calluses on my fingers. Do you know what I mean? I like having. Yeah, I'm not a fan of getting calluses on my fingers. I really don't like the idea of it. I find it annoying. I like to have the sensitivity in my fingertips. I don't really want to lose it because of playing a guitar. But anyway, whatever, right? But yeah, so I'm thinking about buying a clarinet. I mean, I could buy a clarinet for 100 quid. Or I could pay, a few grand for one, maybe. I don't really. There's one I saw, I think it was 1,600 quid. I was thinking maybe I might buy that. But I don't know. Whatever, right? I mean, it's a weird instrument, really. Like some music on clarinet sounds great, but it's not really the kind of music that I normally listen to. Do you know what I mean? The kind of music I usually listen to. I listen to heavy metal and drum and bass. I mean, and to play clarinet, it sounds a bit strange, though, doesn't it? But you see, I'm God, and the thing is, I used to play clarinet, and you see, everything I do, I'm trying to break. I'm trying to break curses. I'm trying to break curses, okay? And I'm thinking maybe I need a clarinet to do that.